when I was a child, I used to work on the streets. One day that I remember that when I went back home, so we were very poor, and then we couldn't afford any food. So that was so difficult that time. I worked, although I had a disability, which I didn't know about, but I had to still work because we were many people in the family, and then my father actually he got paralyzed for 1 month, and then after that he couldn't recover well. So we had to continue working.
Stick Your Neck Out, the weekly podcast of the Giraffe Heroes Foundation.
Welcome to the podcast to restore your faith in humanity. It's me again, Jean-Pierre Aguiar Durañona, and my guest today, like I promised in the last podcast, is Nemat, a 2021 Kanthari participant. He's also the founder of Stretch More, an organization with a mission to challenge the stigma, pity and victimization of persons with disabilities. Stretch More empowers them with skills that help them to survive in crisis situations through sports, leadership, survival and problem-solving skills. Nematullah hails from Afghanistan, and because in interviews with international media he had occasionally expressed his anger about the situation prevailing there, he cannot return for the time being. Welcome back, Nemat. Last week we were talking about your homeland. An interesting aspect of the news covering the situation in Afghanistan is the lack of information about the impact this conflict has on people with disabilities. If you follow up, it is almost as if there were no people with disabilities in your country, right?
Yes. Actually, most of the time I ask myself, what would I do in a crisis situation, be it man-made or natural? And then the fact that the media has totally forgotten about people with disability in Afghanistan. And I have talked to DW, Deutsche Welle, and with another media, another magazine in the US called In These Times. Those are the ones that I know people talk about disability. Only after that, I heard that Save the Children also, talked about children who are being maimed or killed every 5 hours in Afghanistan. Actually, we are being forgotten. Like even in the airport, that you could see people are running. So they were running to go. At least they were managing to go there. But what would people with disability do? Those who are using wheelchairs, how will they go? Those who are blind, and so it makes us totally invisible, as if we have never been there.
But why?
That is a good question. I would say that people still don't believe in they treat in a way, in traditional ways. They think that this has nothing to do, like people with disability have nothing to do with surviving with political situations. They think that they should just they should be helped. But that should not be the case. We should be able to help ourselves instead of being helped.
Yeah, definitely.
So the problem is the mindset. Yeah, the mindset that so my question even to the media would be why the media have forgotten about people with disability, and actually they should respond. Let's say BBC or. Yeah, let's say...
I can't answer that question, of course, but I think the problem is that you don't want to show that you have that you are not strong enough, because a lot of people think that people with disabilities are not strong enough, which is totally silly.
Exactly. It is actually, I would call it discrimination.
Yes, that's the word, of course.
Be it, so discriminated and then being marginalized are the main... and also, trying to hide, trying to, get away from the public and trying to be in the corner of the house, and then not going out of the comfort zone, and not even exploring the options that although you are disabled, what could you do? And these are the reasons that I would say we become invisible. Yeah.
It is indeed. Can you please describe the everyday barriers that people with disabilities face in Afghanistan?
Well, the first one is mobility and orientation. The people with disability, even before the Taliban government, the roads are not accessible. The schools are not accessible. The universities are not accessible. I studied in different schools, and in government and private schools. And for me, the schools have never been accessible. And the other problem is, of course, when people with disability, they don't try to come out. And also the other reason, the other aspects of life would be that they are not given much opportunities, or they don't try creating opportunities for themselves. Actually, the other problem that we face is that even from our families, like even the families, they would not believe in us that what you could do and what you could not do. So that's the day-to-day life, if we see from that point.
Yeah, that's it's really sad. Nemat, for 21 years, you lived with a disability you didn't know about. How is that even possible?
Well, because in Afghanistan, whenever I went to a doctor, they would just give me, medication. They would say you would be fine. Of course, muscular dystrophy is a very rare disease. So I did it for 21 years, yeah, and that's actually very unusual for me too. That I don't know what am I having, what type of disability I have, and not suffering, but what type of disability I had, and. It was in 2016 that one of my friends from Singapore, he was working in one of the NGOs in Kabul, and then he talked to me and he asked me, "Do you want to talk about your health condition?" I said, "Why not?" And then he said that it might be muscular dystrophy, and then but then I was helped with another foreign NGO and with another international NGO to fly to Delhi. And to be diagnosed, just for diagnosis, I came to Delhi in India.
Okay.
And then that was the time in which I learned that I have muscular dystrophy, which does not have cure at all in the whole planet. And first I was like, so sad. It actually broke me. And then, but now I know what we need. We need mobility skills. We need confidence to help ourselves. We need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to, break the barriers and then lead even in crisis, and also be in a position to help others, because people with disability, they have enormous potential that they could help people around us.
Totally.
Yeah, and I have seen a lot of people with disabilities who have done great things, and
me too.
Yeah. So even myself, when before kanthari, I felt that okay, I had a disability, and then kind of suffering, but then after actually being sensitized about myself through the kanthari course, and then now I don't feel that I'm suffering. It means like it is actually a way that's how I am, and then I came in terms with myself, and then coming to accept it, and then
which is actually amazing. Respect for that. How was then growing up like?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I myself, I was a difficult child, and then as long as I can recall, so when I was working on the streets in Kabul, so people who were crossing, or people who might just walking, and then they would look at me. Some of the children that time told me that look at this guy, he's planning to dance or something, the way he's walking. And then also my family
kids can be really bad.
Yeah, and then my
really insensitive.
That's true. So my uncle and his family, my own family, like the relatives, they never believed in me. Especially, there is a funny incident that I can recall. So my uncle had a white donkey, and then he never let me ride his donkey. So one day I convinced this guy, and then he let me ride his donkey. And then while I was on the donkey, so I felt very good. I said, okay, I was thinking, okay, that's it. I'm going to do it. And then that was the time when my oldest cousin, he took the whip and then beat the poor animal. And then I was feeling good, but until then, suddenly I felt, that I was feeling scared that what's going to happen. So I grabbed the saddle very tight, and then I was very attached to the donkey, and then the donkey was going slowly, and then my cousin landed another whip, and then now it got very wild, the donkey, and then it was running. So I was so scared, and then when the donkey tried to jump over a small pond, a small stream, so I fell down. And then before falling down, so I still remember that, everything went silent. And then I could see the clouds, and then I could see the sky very blue. And then suddenly I fall in the ground. And then after I got up, I'm not standing up, but after I got up and just sat there, and then I saw that my cousins were running towards me. So I felt relief. And then they kept running until they passed me. So apparently they were running to catch the donkey, not to help me.
Oh my God! I thought they were running to help you.
That's what I thought too. But then I was wrong. And then, so that's how. Sometimes it can be funny, the memories. But then that time I felt very bad because I really needed someone to help me to get up and then go back home.
Yes, oh my God. So you already said you are suffering from muscular dystrophy, and I must really say, I think I told you that before. It's amazing that you are making an ability of your disability. So you want this disease to be the main focus of your future projects, Stretch More. And Stretch More is a mobile empowerment parkour in which the people with disability can empower yourself through survival skills, entrepreneurship, leadership, and sports activities. What does Stretch stand for?
That's a good question. Actually, just to correct something that I said before, so I was suffering. There is a time that people with disability, they might suffer from the beginning, but now I don't. So I call it, I have a disability.
Yeah, right.
So I was thinking that about the name of Stretchmore, my future, organization. For me, Stretchmore is standing for, for helping people to empower people with disability to survive in natural and man-made disasters. So the word stretch, like the letters, they stand for it's also an abbreviation. And so
it's an acronym, right?
Yeah, it's an acronym which stands for strengthen, train, reach, expand, to catalyze harmony.
Okay.
The focus of Stretchmore is on the skills, knowledge, and tools that can be given to the people with disability to survive natural and man-made disaster, and also to lead a life with dignity.
I see. I understand. Yeah, I imagine. I mean, you said you focus on natural disasters. Why? Why specific natural disasters?
And the place where I'm right now in Kerala, South India. So this place is, prone to floods, and then there are times that people with disability, they are totally clueless that what would happen, like in a flood, or let's say in a earthquake or in fire. They become clueless, and then people are expecting the government and other organizations to come and help them. Instead, my idea is that if we have the skills and the tools and the knowledge, we would not need people's help. Of course, there are some people with disability that they cannot move, but most of us, we can. We just need to know how, and that should be the main focus, and which is the main focus. And there are many examples that how people with disability, they totally solve a problem in a very completely new way. For example, in 9/11 attack in the North Tower, there was one blind person with his guide dog. His name is Michael Hinkson, and his dog's name is Russell. So he was guided by Russell to evacuate the building, because the dogs, they can help to evacuate. And then because he was blind, and then he couldn't see the chaos, so he just followed the dog. And then people who knew that there's a guide dog, and then that these people are very calm, they are evacuating, so they followed. So dozens of people followed Russell and Michael, who was blind, and then now today they are alive.
Amazing.
Yeah, how amazing is that? But of course, there are incidents that we cannot, we don't know what to do. For example, one of my friend from Nepal, her name is Shrishti. So when there was an earthquake, everybody left, and then she was left in the room alone, not knowing what to do. And that's the gap that Stretchmore is going to address.
And beside that, you not only want to work with people with disabilities, the project would also work on children's education and empowerment of women. Am I correct?
Well, Stretchmore is mainly focused, the priority for us is to help people with disability to survive. But then we have other programs as well, like let's say entrepreneurship. The idea of entrepreneurial skills will give us, freedom to make choices. Having our own income means that we can contribute to ourselves, to the family. We cannot be burdens. And then how eye-opening would it be for our parents to see, and for people that we contribute to the family's income. And then we take care of our parents in their old age, and then support our children to go to school, just with having a skill, an entrepreneurial skill. But of course, the main focus is on survival.
Okay, I see. That's why one of the first activities you have designed at Kanthari's life-saving camp in 2022 for the blind and physically disabled. How did you come up with this idea?
So Kerala, this state of India, is prone to floods, and then if we know how to swim, and if we have let me explain the swimming. So if we know swimming, there are type of floods when the water level comes up. There are times that you can save yourself, but of course, when the stream of a flood is very fast, even not people without disability, they cannot survive. Mm-hmm. But there are times that we can really survive, and I think it's worth trying. And and then in one of the other challenges in flood times is that people face shortage of water, drinking water. But it's very easy if you know how to filter water. So you can actually help a lot of people. And if you have first aid knowledge, you can help people. If they get cardiac arrest, if their heart, if they get a heart attack, or if they get a snake bite, or let's say if they have an injury. So it's very simple to solve the problem. And also it will shift. Having the knowledge of swimming and the first aid training will shift the mindset of people from something that they have lived for many years. For example, when a person with disability helps another person, and then here comes the mindset shift that people with disability, they are not only there to be helped, but they are there to help. And
people, of course, they can help people, other people.
Yeah, so that's the mindset that the mindset behind this is that it should change. It needs change. Otherwise, people with disability in floods, they will drown, and then nobody will care about them. But instead, if they are empowered, they can help others and themselves at the same time.
So I guess you are a good swimmer.
Yes, actually, here in Kanthari campus, they have a beautiful lake. They have access to a beautiful lake, and then so I learned swimming within a week.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you learned that last year. You learned how to swim last year.
Yes, just let's say 7 months ago. So I learned it within a week, and then one style of swimming, which is called backstroke, and then I learned the breaststroke. So now I know two styles of swimming, and if somebody, let's say, if somebody is about to drown, I can actually interfere and help, and then save the person. And that's my dream, that everyone should be all the people with disability should be able to do that, to save their own life and save others' life too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thought. So at Scratch More, you want to empower people with a parkour. So can you please tell me a bit more about the empowerment parkour you plan to use as part of your project? How can I picture it?
Parkour actually means to move from point A to point B. And if you have seen people, who are jumping between the buildings from one building to another, and then making big jumps, that's very high level of parkour. But basically, the idea of parkour is to move from one point to another, if we empower people with disability, they will move, and if we give them a chance, if we give ourselves a chance, so we can actually move without people's help, and that's what it means in my dictionary. That empowerment parkour is a tool that would help us to move from one situation to another. For example, let's say swimming, this camp that is right now I'm having, that I'm organizing. So, moving from one situation to another before swimming and after swimming, if we think about it. So before swimming, it's just, you don't know swimming, but after that, if you know once, so it will not only help you to survive, but it will also give you confidence. It will give you it will kill the fear of water. Even the non-disabled people, they do have the fear of water. And that's the whole idea behind empowerment parkour.
Okay, no, so I was actually thinking about or picturing like a huge hall with a lot of different things where you can jump or roll down and up and this kind of stuff. So that was my image of of this parkour you're planning to do.
Yes, technically that is true. So in our dictionary, it means to be able to move from not only from one point to another, but from one situation to another. Like, we should not remain in one situation. We need change. So we have to always move. We need to keep moving.
I see. So you said once, we, the disabled, face this situation of being helpless daily in countries going through civil war, earthquakes, storms, and floods. Wherever there is a crisis, we have only limited possibilities. We can duck down, hide, and might be forgotten. Have you seen yourself in such a situation?
Yes, I have seen once when there was an avalanche back home. I was a kid. I didn't know about my disability. And then everybody, my father told everybody we have to leave the house because an avalanche was coming. It was not a big one, but it was dangerous. And then I saw that everybody was running, and then my father, he grabbed me and then somehow dragged me to a point where it was safe. So that's how I say that we become helpless in such situation. But I can imagine, back then when I was living in Afghanistan, the situation was rather good. But now I would see that, people with disability are really helpless.
Yeah.
And some of the agencies should really divert their focus from to people to this area, to disability.
Yeah, and I imagine, of course, you want this situation to change. So you have also said that you have to survive by taking your safety into your own hands.
Yeah.
This is why you created Stretch More in the first place, right?
Yes, that is true.
So, Nemat, usually after all of you finish the Kanthari leadership program, you go back to your country and start working on your projects, but you can't go back home. So where does this situation leave your project?
Actually, until April, until we finish the course, we can conduct pilot projects, and we can do some of the activities that the course requires. And I can do that under other organizations like Kanthari, let's say, because my course is not yet finished. So if I want to graduate the course, I have to be able to do a pilot project, which is this camp, life-saving camp.
But still, you can't go back home. So what are you planning to do?
I got the question. Of course, my first plan should be to be in a place where I can register my organization and where I can start activities, and then I can be able to move around the world, and in disaster areas where I can develop the idea of survival. So my other plan is that if I cannot return back home after a few months, then I will start my organization here in India. I would register here, or any other countries. I would register and start working.
Yeah, I see. I mean, it's maybe it's not the best deal, but it's at least something.
Yes,
I guess. Yeah, that's really sad. I mean, the situation back then is really sad, and I really hope you find your way to go back soon. Nemat, decades of war and bombs blasts in Afghanistan have caused poverty, child labor, and disabilities. Personally, you were affected by all three of them. Can we talk a little bit about your childhood? Like, you were selling cigarettes, you become disabled, or you realize you are disabled?
Yes. When I was a child, I used to work on the streets, and then later I used to work on other fields. Like when I started schooling again, so I skipped grade 4 and 5, so I came directly to grade 6, and I was still working. And one day that I remember that when I went back home, so we were very poor, and then we couldn't afford any food. for one day, I remember. And so that was so difficult that time. And I was actually affected by all three. Yes, that's true. So that's my childhood, that I worked, although I had a disability, which I didn't know about, but I was still, I had to still work because we were many people in the family, and then my father, actually he got paralyzed for 1 month, and then after that he couldn't recover well, so we had to continue working with my brother as well.
Okay, and where do you get the cigarette from? Like being a child?
Well, so we went with other child laborers, and so we went to other. So there is always a place where you can go with an adult, and then you can buy it, and then you can put it on your on the street wherever you sell, or you can hold on your hands and then go around the city to sell. So that's how we get from a place where they import from other countries.
Okay, I see. That's really harsh. So what do you know about your family today? How are they managing? Have you or your family ever been in touch or directly threatened by the Taliban before?
Well, not directly. And my family in Pakistan, they are actually being helped by my brother. So also my uncle also moved there recently. One of my uncles, and they are living with my uncle right now.
Could you describe concretely what it means for a family in Afghanistan with members who live with disabilities to live there these days?
Well, actually, the problem that I myself have faced, although I was born in a family where, we had, we used to crack joke all the time. And then, but then there are, of course, people unknowingly they discriminate, and even within the family they do not believe what a person with disability can do. And for myself, they have always thought that I should be helped. They always thought that I really need, I really am the person who should be helped all the time. But that was not the case. So yeah, they say not believing in us, not letting us to take risk, not letting us to live by ourselves, or not to play with others, and then always trying to take you to a doctor without having a second thought that maybe the doctor is not needed, but maybe this person with disability can do that or this. So that's the type of thing that I face in my community.
In relation to stretch more your organization, do you expect to be able to begin your work on the ground in Afghanistan someday?
I hope so. And if there is an opportunity, so why not going back home? And then no other place can be our home. And yes, I firmly believe and I hope that I will go back and start stretch more there.
And I hope that too. But
Thank you.
What does it mean concretely to begin? Does it mean you have to work with the local authorities or even the national authorities like the Taliban?
Okay. I get the question now. So yes, we have to register. Like I have to register stretch more, and then I have to work with the local community. Because in my place also the local community plays an important role. So yes, and local community, local government, and being registered to a department. These three things are the technicalities.
Yeah, but do you think it's going to be easy for you being a person with disability trying to work with people with disability in Afghanistan, that the Taliban will be open to cooperate and to help you?
That could be a bit tricky because, my idea has changed toward disability, but still people's idea didn't change. And but I will ask people's help. I would ask my friends to help me in registration, and also to if I build a good bond, a good rapport with the community, then I don't think there would be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thinking positive is really important. Nemat, in your application to the Kanthari Leadership Program, you wrote, about hard times, I will replace them with experiences because they were lessons that one day I knew would be helpful. What kind of experiences are you talking about?
Well, this is a good question. And so when I was in school, I was trying to get, to be the first person in the class to have the first position. So in my 7th grade, I got the 3rd position, and 8th grade, I got the 2nd, and 9th, I got the 1st. But then I was thinking that what has changed actually? And nothing has changed because I was just getting positions, the places in the class, but I was good at academics. But then when I was thinking that, okay, what type of life I want to lead, although I have a disability, then I thought, okay, education will open a door for me, which actually it did. Although I'm not a big fan of education system, but then it kind of helped. And the experiences of, being kind of bullied, and also people making fun of me, those experiences actually I use those experiences to be a motivation for me to work hard actually. And there is a good saying that I heard from the founders of Kanthari. And there's a Chinese proverb which says, when the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others build windmills, which is really powerful. So we need to learn how we can actually turn around the situation and then use it for a good cause.
In this same application, you wrote, today is the day to use all those wisdom and lessons, go further and stroll against all odds. How are you planning to do that? Let the people out there listening a part of how you imagine the ideal development of your project.
I believe examples are powerful. If I can show the people what type of background I have, they would believe in me. So let's say the example of swimming. I can everywhere I can proudly say that, oh, I learned swimming within a week. Can you learn it? just proudly saying it, and that's a good example that people actually listen to examples. And I would do a pilot project in swimming and first aid training and other projects as well. So then people will listen to examples, I believe.
Yeah, I believe that too. So what are your words for our community out there? What do you want to leave them as the last message?
I would say that we have people with disability, that we need to keep moving. And this is not going to be easy. And then coming out of the comfort zone is not really easy. But once you come out, it's going to be enriching. The journey can be bumpy, and then there will be a lot of challenges. There will be, what worst challenge a person with disability would face if he is away, for example, me, if he's away from home, from the family, and then cannot return back home, and then not having a lot of opportunity, and then dealing with mental health issues, it is challenging, it is bumpy, but I believe that it is enriching too, because it makes us strong. Yeah, and there is a beautiful poem by Rupi Kaur. He says that the world gives you too much pain, but here you are making gold out of it, and there is nothing purer than that. So I believe that we should actually start making gold.
So let's go outside and make some gold. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Nemat, for your time. It was really nice talking to you.
Thank you very much, Emperor.
And there we are at the end of the podcast to restore your faith in humanity. You'll find the stories of the Kanthari alumni and the Giraffe heroes, the stories of people sticking their necks out every Tuesday in Spotify, iTunes, our homepage, and every other place where you get your podcast. And if you subscribe, you don't have to look out for us. We'll be coming to you. Dear listeners, if there is a friend, a family member, an organization, or someone you know who is doing a great work in the community, someone sticking the neck out, just nominate them as a giraffe hero or tell us about them. Come and visit us at giraffe-heroes.eu. My name is Jean-Pierre Aguiar-Durañona, and I hope you join us also on our social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. But more importantly, I hope you join us again next week.
Stick Your Neck Out, the weekly podcast of the Giraffe Heroes Foundation.